Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production, and we have another POV draft here. POV standing for point of view, in case anyone was curious. And this is going to be the uprising draft format. So we are recording this. I believe there's I want to say 2 weeks left till Canadian Nationals, 3 weeks left for
Yeah.
American Nationals. But national season is kind of underway, like starting now, right? So I think September 5th is the first kind of
This is the first weekend.
yeah.
Fifth, I guess that
No,
would
no,
be
no.
the fourth,
Is it
probably, right?
is it next weekend? I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It might have been 10 to 25, I think. So it might have been actually the next
Mm,
weekend.
yeah.
I think it is next weekend, and then there's 3 weekends after. So
Okay.
with that being said, all of these events are mixed format, being Uprising, the set that's going to be drafted. So we're going to be pushing a little bit more POV content, not a lot, maybe one or two more videos, including this one. It is not easy to get this kind of content.
Yeah.
There's setup required, and it needs to be in the right area. Anyways, my point being is this is not the easiest content to grab. So hopefully you guys appreciate the content, and if you can like, comment, subscribe to let us know if you appreciate the content, then I can know if I have to like go out of my way to get this kind of content.
Yeah.
And
I admit it'll
with
look
that,
weird if you got a camera there, just kind of showing everybody you gotta do it in a
it
group of
is
people that know each other well, and it's like,
yeah,
you
you
know,
don't like
the
the guy on
atmosphere
my
is
right.
accepting.
Uh, uh, the guy on my right definitely can see my cards. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
You're not supposed. You actually do get penalized by looking at other people's stack or other people's cards
Mm,
during a draft. So I will say like those are part of the rules. You shouldn't be looking at anything other than your own cards and like
right.
in your stack kind
Even
of
if
thing.
they're bleeding and just
Um,
showing you their hand, right?
you cannot look at your. It's actually like in the rules. So try not to do that. However, for my hands to wrap around the camera, I kind of had to, but that's fine. This was just an armory. This was a regular pot of 8. I know I don't say that very often, but this is just like a regular pot of
Yeah.
8. Some pretty good players in this pod. Oliver Chen is in here. He was on my right. He was one of the top base from the last Canadian Nationals.
Hmm.
A couple other like Rotonats winners, Rotonats top 8 players, good drafters all around. So this is a pretty good pod to kind of show what like a draft looks like. I would say so. I'll comment on my results at the end. Fair warning, not all my drafts are 3-0 drafts. uh,
What?
I'm just gonna say like it's not even the ones I record. Like there are some that I don't record that I 3-0, some that I record that are like whatever score. So I don't
You're not
record
cherry
enough of these to
picking
like
the best
no, I don't
ones.
record
You,
enough of these.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
this is gonna be like one of those learning drafts, so to speak.
Make
So
this a learning
hopefully everyone
experience.
can yeah, hopefully everyone can grab a little bit for their own
Tidbits of
kind of drafting
information.
style. Yeah, and
Yeah.
with that, I think we talked long enough. The
Yeah.
announcements. I think the giveaway video is
Giveaway
out, so
is
please.
concluded. That video's out. Yeah, we'll be at Canadian Nationals. We'll be at Worlds as well. So
Exactly. All the good stuff.
some
And
basic
with
stuff.
that, I guess we could start it off. So there is one other thing that my pack one pick one was Red Findle's Fighting Spirit. The issue with I don't know, there was an issue with my phone recording this. I think it like recorded double tapped by accident, so it like started pause. And then I
Mm,
realized, luckily, I realized it in pack one, pick two. So luckily, I realized it really quick.
right.
Otherwise, it would be real awkward.
All right. So
So
Red
it
Fighting Spirit, you got that.
Red Fighting Spirit. The reason I picked the Red Fighting Spirit is the rest of the pack was pretty like it wasn't particularly great. It was a decent. It was an okay pack. It had some like red opener, red fi opener. It had like some okay Icelander cards. So it had 2 blue Icelander cards. That was something I was kind of keeping track of. Um, not like nothing super great, but it did have some cards. But nothing that really made me want to like stamp into like a particular class here. So I picked up the popper, the Red Fighting Spirit,
All right.
and this is rolling into pack one, pick two. So right away we have some pretty good. It's a pretty good pack. Honestly, there's some pretty great cards in this pack.
Now, how good is
Fury
Uvia?
scans.
Is Uvia a prime dragon pick?
Uvia is good. Is really good into Icelander because Icelander really doesn't have any ways to stop it other than like a 6 power attack. 'Cause none of the spells actually do 6 damage, right? So it's really all about like that 6 power attack. Like you need to
Yeah.
pop this.
The
Like
health. The health is really good in this case.
yeah, and by pop this, it's kind of like you're never swinging with Uvia. You just sit there and just create more Ash
Yeah.
wings, right? So you're gonna have to attack it 6 power, which really like screws the tempo here. But you see another 0 for 3 brand with Cinder Claw, pretty good into Fi.
Yeah.
Blue Arctic Incarceration, really good for Icelander. You have the stilettos there that I'm kind of hovering a little bit. You have red skittering scans, pretty good for Dromai.
Hmm.
And then I'm looking at like the Uvia. So I'm kind of counting. I'm still open because I picked the popper first, which is the whole reason. I wanted to see what the other player picked. So in this particular case, I think both rares and the equipment were in the pack. I ended up picking the Uvia
Okay.
and passing on the stilettos. I'm not completely sold on Dromai yet. Um, but Uvia is very, very, very strong. Six
Red
power again, very,
Icebind.
very hard to kill. Then I see the Heat Wave, and I see Invoke Vinserikai.
Vinserikai?
I see the stand cover. I'm looking at Vinserikai. I'm liking what I see. I take another peek. There's nothing crazy. Some blues. The Heat Wave kind
Heat
of has
Wave.
me like Heat Wave's coming in pick 3, pack 1. So I don't know. The two players on my right are probably not on 5. The Heat Wave is still there.
Yeah, it's still
Uh,
early, I guess.
it's still early. I did pick up the Vinserikai. The reason I pick up the Vinserikai is just a very, very strong dragon in draft. It comes in for 6. It can
Yeah.
switch tempo. Very, very good into 5 is what I noticed playing Dromai. It can be okay in Icelander, but the key is in 5. Blocking 6 isn't always as easy when you have
Right.
so many tweaks,
Yeah.
right?
But it's also a very easy dragon to pop too, because of the 1 health.
It is for Icelander, yeah. So I see the second Vinserikai. Not a lot else in the pack, so I'm picking up the Vinserikai here because there's some yellows and blue. Nothing too crazy here. The fact that I saw double Vinserikai after the Uvia, meaning I don't think there's any. I think there might be one
Was the under
Dromai
eye?
that's picking up. Yeah, so I think the Dromai. There is a Dromai to my right. They're probably picking up Centipais, right? Which is fine. Like you can have 2 Dromais in a draft.
Oh yeah.
But I look at the rest of the pack, and there's not a hell of a lot there. Like there's the Yenderai, obviously.
Yeah.
You see like a red dust, like the red dust runner outlaw, the 1 for 4 go again. I think this would have been a fine 5 draft.
Yeah.
With the heat wave, there's like a decent amount of openers. Nothing crazy. I think 5 would have been reasonable. There's the blue cold snap there too, so Icelander decently open also. I'm
Would
realizing at this point,
would you grab here?
yeah.
Sorry, I missed it.
I grabbed the Yenderai.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I grabbed the Ender Eye. It is also a red block 3. Like all of these dragons block for 3, right? So like it is pretty reasonable to pick up like that rare red block for 3 because at the very least it still blocks. So
Yeah.
I'm okay picking the dragons. I'm decently firm into Dromai. I don't really want to give up an Uvia, 2 Vincerkais, and a Yenderai unless there's something screaming my name.
Yeah.
So unless I see something like drastic, I think I've kind of solidified myself into Dromai here. Decent signals from my right, from that half of the pod, saying that if they are on Dromai, they're probably picking up Centipede. I didn't see any Dunebreakers or any Ember Maws. However, when I was counting the cards, I don't know how many slots exactly were left for those kinds of cards. So again, a little bit awkward there. So looking at the next pack, really not a lot for me to grab. There's a Yellow Rising for Phi. There's a Red Critical Strike, which is okay. It's another like a red 3 block. The blue Polar Blast, so the red reflex, rapid reflex for Phi also. So I'm thinking Phi and Icelander are also decently like hey, um, which has me a little bit worried that there's not more Dromai cards that I should be expected because I've been picking up rares, but the commons seem to be not
Just
very
not there.
powerful, like yellow and
Or
blues. Yeah,
not powerful.
so
Okay.
yeah, so a lot of the red Dromai cards are just kind of gone in the common slot, which has me a little bit worried, as well as the Draconic cards too, which people could have been picking up. Here, the Lava Vein Loyalty, Stoke the Flames are strong cards. Really not a lot for me. I do pick up the Stoke the Flames. They're really only like that card for me. Stoke the Flames, 1 for 4. Go again on hit. Graph Phoenix Flame on hit. It's not bad.
Yikes.
Puts on a little bit of pressure.
A lot of Icelander stuff here.
A lot of Icelander. And it's this point right here that I realize that Icelander is the open lane this draft.
Yeah.
It's a little bit late, but I ended up picking up the Blue Oasis just because that was the only card. But at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 strong Icelanders. However, I'm in Dromai. I have Uvia. I'm not like super worried about it. If I can pick up Stilettos, I will as a priority pick at this point.
Right.
I see the yellow Billowing Mirage. That's kind of like the only usable card there. So
Yeah.
this is kind of like what I've been mentioning about signals and trying to read them and like it not always going as according to plan, right? So obviously Dromai's not open.
There was also Sigil of Permafrost Red that we saw a few picks earlier. So yeah, I mean, Icelander's seeming really open.
So now look at this. So you got your yellow Ice Fade, blue Polka. Like now I know. Like if I didn't know it before, I definitely know
This
it
reinforces it. Yeah, for sure.
now. Which is fine. I'm okay with Icelander being more open than 5 being more open.
That's true.
Just because of who I'm on.
Yeah.
Here Again, all Icelander cards. Red Icebind, really good. Blue Singe, really good. I pick up the Blue Singe because it directly counters me.
Yeah.
Um, I just hate draft it. There's really nothing else to pick here.
Yeah.
The Yellow Ice Vein coming to slate, super super nice. Also for the pack
Mm-hmm.
before, and the Red Icebind is very nice. Also, just
Yeah.
it looks like a one Icelander pod. Honestly, it looks like people brute forced it. I don't think people and yeah, there you go.
Gee.
And then people, this is one of those drafts that you definitely have forcers. You definitely have people that like kind of pigeonhole themselves a little bit
Yeah.
and are kind of unwilling to change
Like,
out of
I see 5 cards. I'm just taking 5, pretty much.
yeah, and they might have got a first like strong 2 picks,
Mm-hmm.
like pick 1, pick 2, maybe pick 3, and just stuck with it instead of
Yeah.
maybe waiting till like pick 4 and being a little bit more open with like draconic generic cards. They kind of went with like strong commons for that class. So like maybe someone picked up a red Embermaw and like a red Skittering, and they're like, I'm a Dromai now,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. Whereas it's not open, so nothing else from the rest of the pack here. I'm a little bit worried that Dromai is like I'm gonna get a little cucked here on the second cycle here
Yeah.
because I think pack 2 will be okay because I've been sending nothing for Dromai. Like I've been passing nothing to my left for Dromai. Right, I've pretty much picked
Right.
all the dragons. I picked everything I could, so I'm expecting pack 2 to really shore my deck up,
Yeah.
and pack 3 to be very light. So I'm
Yeah.
looking for those priority picks
Right. Right.
in pack 2, knowing that my pack 3 is probably going to be pretty weak on
Mm-hmm.
average, right? Unless it's a strong Dromai pack, which the person on my left can't pick all the Dromai
Mm.
cards. So here, pack 2, you have
Yeah.
another Yenderai, First Scar, Transmogrify, Amber Moss, Centipede Red, Lava Vein Red. It's a good pack, right? So I'm looking at the Scar. I'm looking at the Yenderai. I'm looking at Transmogrify, kinda.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm looking at the Ember Moss Centipede. So Ember Moss Centipede is the one that stands
Cinepie.
out the most. I don't really have any second guessing about it. It's a 2 for 8. It's above curve. Like
Mm-hmm.
people might have a popper, but I'm not like super worried about it. You see a Dune Breaker in the next pack here. You see a
Uh-huh.
red Sweeping Blow, pretty good. That kind of grabs my attention right away. Like it's a red, blocks for 3, go again, creates ash, right? So you can pitch a
Yeah.
red and create essentially 2 ash off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else really comes close. Yenderai is okay. The only thing I like about Yenderai is in Defy, they need to hit it twice, so they can't just like
Right. It's a
swing once with
three,
the Ember.
4. Is that right?
It's a 3, but it has an endurance counter for 3 also. So
Oh,
they
that's
have to hit
okay.
it
Right.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to dedicate 2 attacks to kill it in a turn, which is quite nice in Defy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
see another
Yeah.
red Transporter 5, which is a little bit interesting. You see a red Oasis Respite, a
Oasis.
red Rake the Embers,
Oh, Rake the
which
Embers is
immediately goes to
fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
immediately to the top. I know there is a good Icelander pool
Mm-hmm.
there, right? I also noticed that all of these, I know I definitely created an Icelander, or like we created an Icelander to
Created
the
an
left of me, right? You can see on the other half of the pod someone is Icelander, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the drought of Icelander cards coming through.
Yeah.
So I end up picking the Rake because I'm gonna need it into like the Icelander, Ice
Singe again.
Eternal.
Oh, but there's also Thamai. It's kind of
You
nice.
see Thamai, and I'm just like, thank the Lord. I see Thamai here. This Icelander is not going to stand a chance. I see the blue Ember Moth Centipede. I'm very sad to see that go. I really wanted the blue Ember Moth Centipede.
Right. Right.
It's a 2 for 6 in blue, blocks for 3. It's
It's
if
a
I can have
fantastic card.
if I can have 7 blues to just say Ember Moth Centipede, I'd be pretty happy, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
Because it has all you want.
it's the best blue.
Yeah.
It's the best blue. Like you can use it on the offense, you can use it on defense, you can
Popper.
pitch with it. It's just so good. It's not a popper, no.
Oh, because it's illusionist, right?
It's illusions.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot
If it
about
was a
that.
popper, oh
Yeah.
my god.
When you said 6 attack, I was
Uh,
like, popper, but no, illusionist, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brother in arms on crack here, but I think when you pop it, you gain an ash, or is that Breaker Centipede? I think a Dude Breaker Centipede has that for sure. Ember Maw, I'm actually not sure. I don't think so. Like it's just a 2 for 6 in blue. I'm just twiddling my pack here, waiting for the next one.
Yep.
And let's see what we got. So blue Finals Fighting Spirit, kind of best stilettos.
Oh, is that a Cinepie?
And then it's in the same pack as red Dunebreaker Centipede, and I have a very big decision. So I'm sitting there
Yeah.
kind of grimacing on the fact that two amazingly strong cards are in there, right? Because I need the stilettos. I
Yeah.
need the stiletto. Like I know I have very little chance against Icelander without those stilettos. It creates so much ash and so many extra, like that thing blocks for at least 3, 4, 5, 6 a game just off arcane, right? It's better than
Yeah.
most armor.
Right.
The red Dunebreaker is just such a strong card. Like the 1 for 5 go again, it's just so good. But I end up picking the stilettos.
Yeah.
I already saw one, and I don't think I'll see the second one. because the
Frightmare.
second one was in the pack 1, right? So I don't think I'm going to see more than 2 stilettos in the box unless there's a rainbow foil one that comes across. So
Rake the Embers.
that's my last kind of... Yeah, I see another red rake. I immediately pick it up.
Yeah.
Again, I'm trying to be as balanced as I can. So I'm more on the dragon train than on the Centipede train. I don't have enough Centipedes to really go as aggressive as I'd like. So I need to pick up cards like Rake the Embers to be able to have that game plan for the later game, especially like even for early game if I manage to get enough Ash, but especially for the late game that I'm able to actually push through with a bunch of Rake, hit with all my dragons, pass, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
So at this point, I'm like decently happy. So what I said kind of came to light. Like the second pack 2, I gave literally nothing to those Dromais. Like those, if they forcing Dromai, I didn't give them anything.
Yeah.
If they weren't in Dromai, what I passed them is not going to make them turn into Dromai. So I was expecting to see a fair amount on pack 2. Now the issue is that because of that, I'm just letting everyone read the pack.
Reading
real casual, like,
the contents of the pack here.
Yeah. So yeah, and this is because I think pack 3 is going to give me nothing. So red Ice Vein, red Singe,
red Sigil,
red Billing Mirage.
I think at this point you want to just take as much Dromai support as you can before pack 3 comes along, right? You can hate pick later. Now's the time to build your deck.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. I see the red Ice Vein. I'm a little bit curious into like why that wasn't picked up earlier, because red Ice Vein is just it's a premium card. But that's
there might have been more blue ice cards that were a bit more favorable. There was a red Sigil of Permafrost here, and it's foil.
It is foil. I end up picking it up, I think, if I recall. Oh. Yeah, I end up picking up. There's really nothing. Like, I don't want to run a yellow Sigil protection in my deck. So
fair enough.
I end up picking it up. I see the yellow Dunebreaker. Yeah. I'll take it. It's playable. It's a 1/4 go again. Blocks for 3. Yeah. I'll take it. It pitches for Evermaw by itself. I see the yellow Skittering. That's the only usable card with Brother in Arms. I picked that up. Yellow Brother in Arms is okay. Yeah. And that's why I reconsidered to pick it up right there. Okay. I bamboozled you guys. So the reason I don't like yellow Skittering Sands is it doesn't give go again. So I'm going to make that dragon, and I can only attack with that dragon once. I picked up the yellow Critical Strike as the usable in the next pack. And so that Brother in Arms is more... And these are all just random cards here in the next 3 picks. The Brother in Arms is actually interesting because even though it's not a popper, you can still pitch a red 2-block towards it. So the Brother in Arms will block for 4, and you gain an Ash. Right. Which is why I like Brother in Arms quite a bit, to turn your red 2-blocks into Ash, essentially, right? And you still get a full 4-block.
Right.
It's not as efficient as, say, Icelander, when you are able to essentially turn it into a D-React, right? Like, you're able to essentially block with it, pitch... play something out of Arsenal for 0 cost, and then like Waning Moon. And I get the Frightmare on the wheel. So,
50 cents. Take it.
I end up playing the Frightmare because of Dreams. But my God. It was also my 30th playable player.
Okay.
But
anyways. It's funny.
But, point being...
Yeah, so pitching for Brother in Arms costs you an entire card, whereas Icelander can utilize a single blue for multiple things. And just kind of get it for free.
So you block with Brother in Arms, you pitch a blue, use one of it to block, and then if you have the cloak, what you can do is you can get a 0 cost or a 1 cost, so you can use the cloak for the 1 cost, and then from Arsenal, and then use the 2 remaining to Waning Moon. Right. So you're blocking for 4, pitching a card, and then you get 2 other effects. Essentially, you're used to, and then you still have 2 cards in hand, so you can still block one more time in Arsenal. You can have a 0 for 3, come in with that, fuse it like a red Icebind. You play the red Icebind, you fuse with an ice card, and you Arsenal ice card. You're doing very well for yourself. So I've done that a lot. So I really like Brother in Arms a lot. Yeah. Especially in Dromai. I don't like it in Fi. It's mainly Dromai and Icelander.
That makes sense.
Because the pitch actually matters quite a bit. In Fi, it's just like another... Like, I'd rather not.
You might as well attack with that card instead of pitching it for 2 block.
Yeah.
It's as if you're blocking for 2 with the card. Mm-hmm. But Dromai gives you the Ash, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Most of the 2 blocks in the Fi deck come in for at least 3 anyways, or they have go again, so I'd rather not do that. Picked up the Bauble. Third pack is trying to tell me something. It's probably not going to be great. So Searing Touch, but we have Sash of Sandakai and a Vipox.
Yeah, Vipox. Not terribly useful though. Was that a blue Cinnapai? I thought I saw a blue. Okay.
No. I pick up the Sash because it's just amazing. It is so unbelievably good. I see a red skittering scans, which is like decent because it does give the go again. So that's definitely the front runner. I'm thinking about blue brother in arms because I'm trying to remember how many blues I have. I'm not going to need that
Not
many
many.
because I only have one red Ember Maw. So I'm not going to actually need that many blues, which is interesting. Usually what you want to do is if you have like 3, 4, 5 Ember Maws, then you're going to want to have at least 7 blues.
Okay.
To be able to pay for it.
Right.
So I picked up the skittering, I believe. And in this pack here, there's a blue skittering, just as like the blue singe. There's a red trade-in, which is actually pretty reasonable. So I end up picking it up, and the reason I pick it up is because I think I'm gonna have to run at least 2 or 3 Phoenix Flames. Because I'm gonna need to fill the deck with that, right? And trade-in's pretty good because you can actually just like discard the Phoenix. You can use it ideally discard the Phoenix Flame and draw a card, right? From trade-in from Arsenal. So I do have like this package that I'm able to actually get them out of my hand reasonably. There's literally nothing in this pack for me. I pick up the blue because I think I'm a little bit light on blues at the moment. So I pick up the blue sigil. It can be okay turn 1. You can pitch a red, play the sigil, gain an ash, and you have the 2 ward. You have ward 2 on it. And then pass, which is decently reasonable. I did end up playing it like that. I ended up one of the games. I did pitch a red, play a turn 1. Turn 1, it might have been a later turn, but it's still like you still gain the ash. You're doing something because instead of doing 2 damage, you're preventing 2 damage, so you're able to like save yourself some life to be able to swing back for tempo. A little bit later. So the deck is shaping up to be okay. I think my win condition is literally Vincerikai, but I have 2 of them, so that's fine. I see the blue Arctic, I see red Breaking Point, blue Billowing, I see the cloak, which means that someone's probably grabbing that cloak. Wait, what did I pick? Can you go back?
Blue. What was it here? Billowing Mirage.
Blue Billowing?
Yeah, blue Billowing.
Yeah, I picked up blue Billowing just to get a couple more blues because I think I was only at 4 or 5 blues at this point. I really wasn't picking blues very heavily. And I still do need them because I do have a lot of cards that require, like, if I want to play a red 1 cost and then I want to play an Ember Maw, I'm going to need those blues. And I have things like Rake. I have other things that require it. I see Red Singed. I see Burn Away, which is the front runner right now. Again, not something I usually see, but because I'm going to be running 3 Phoenix Flames at this point, most likely, Burn Away is actually not that bad of a card because what you can do is you can start with Burn Away, discard it, close the chain, and then Burn Away to get go again for banishing the Phoenix Flame.
Yeah.
I picked up the red Rip, the red Sift, which I really, really like in Dromai. It's a red go again, so it starts your like dragons have go again.
Right.
And sometimes you get such shit hands with Dromai that having a free like go again, like if you have them from Arsenal and you can just like recycle your entire hand, it's so good. And you can choose up to 4 cards, right? So even if you play it from hand, and you have like you play it. You replace 2 or 3 cards, you really need to come back from tempo. Let's say like they stalled out a bit and just like came in for 3, you block 3 and they passed. After you came back with tempo and you have crap in your hand, Sift real good. Blue Brother in Arms to pick here. I like Blue Brother in Arms, especially kind of why I mentioned it beforehand.
Yep.
Another blue for the stack, as they say. So now I'm up to about 5 or 6 blues. So I'm pretty okay on blues. I could use like 1 or 2 more. However, I don't think I have much of a choice. I don't know what I'm going to be getting in these last kind of half of the third pack.
Like you, I guess, foretold that the third pack wouldn't be very strong for Dromai. So you're getting a lot of cards that are kind of mediocre.
Yep.
So picking the blues makes sense.
Yeah, I'm decently happy with my
I mean, pack 2 was very
my
good.
third pack. Yeah, I'm decently okay. I see the yellow Sift. I see the yellow Sand Cover.
Right.
I think in this particular case, like I can like hate draft the Aether Dart, but I pick up the Sand Cover just because into the Icelander matchup, pretty good. It's just a 0 for 3 using Ash. It's just another way to prevent more arcane damage. Really solidifying that matchup.
Yeah.
Liquefied comes back around, but I'm looking at it and I'm reading it, and it's such like an awkward card.
Yeah.
I really don't want to play it. I picked up the Quellix sleeves, which is because I didn't see a Silken Form pass by.
Okay.
Meaning that there's probably 2 more Dromais in the pod is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Hate draft another blue Singe. Pretty okay with that. Very, very hard card to come back from. Yeah, so the quelling is okay. I see yellow Arctic. I see the foil glacial horns, which is like kind of funny. There's a
Yeah.
lot of glacial horns to pass by.
Yeah.
Just a Cinder Skin, sorry, and Weather Vane. So based on all these picks, Icelander was definitely the most open
Yeah.
of the draft.
Yeah.
I think I'm not I'm not really disappointed with the draft per se. I do think that going it's really tough because if you pick a bunch of dragons early, you really have to like justify keeping the dragons
Yeah.
if you see an open lane for some other hero, right?
Yeah.
Um, the problem with pivoting past pick 5 or 6, like past pick 4, the problem pivoting on pick 5 onwards is that because you've noticed that the class is open. So let's say Icelander in this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're passing these Icelander cards to your left. Don't know how much of it is being picked. You don't know if you've created one Icelander. You
Yeah.
don't know if there are two Icelanders because there could have been like decent Icelander stuff also. Because at that point, you haven't seen what's on that everything that's on that pod yet, right? You've
Mm-hmm.
only seen the 4 players on your right. So the 3 players you're passing to on a pod of 8. Yeah, no, that's correct. The four,
Yeah.
and then there's 3 ahead of you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've only seen 1, 2, 3, 4 on your right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You haven't seen 1, 2, 3 on your left, and
Yeah.
those are probably where you found out, like by pick 4, pick 5, that it's open. You don't know if one of them are Icelander. You don't
Yeah.
know if 2 of them are Icelander. You don't know if
It's a
all of
complete
them are
mystery.
Icelander.
So
Right?
you might be just
Exactly.
fueling some Icelanders that are already established,
Exactly.
already building.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's kind of my big issue with pivoting into something like Icelander super late. If I'm in Icelander, what I try to do is, unless I see something super good for Dromai, or I just feel like drafting Phi, like maybe there's like a really weak Phi pack and there's like one Phi card, so I pick up like that one Phi card, and hopefully the people on my left don't have great Phi stuff.
Yeah.
Um, the key is to just pick a couple strong cards out of your pack and see what comes through. So if your packs have like some decently strong Icelander stuff, but like one good Icelander card, I'd rather pick the one Icelander card and pass nothing Icelander revolving around
Okay.
to lessen the chance that people are going to be an Icelander because of me.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they pick it because of what they have, I can't control that.
That's
And
just the way the cards came. Yeah.
that's just the way the cards go, right? And the issue is that when you have more than 2 Icelanders in a pod, it gets real sketchy. Your deck ends up being like barely playable.
Right.
So that's my main issue with like pivoting to Icelander. In this particular case, I think could have. I noticed it. However, I didn't know how many of them there were based on pack 2. Like I didn't know if that pack was weak on Icelander, and there was only 1 or 2 Icelanders grabbing whatever was there and passing whatever else. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was my philosophy. I ended up keeping the dragons. I thought Uvia and Vincerikai were strong enough dragons.
We can jump to the actual deck if you want to show it first before we talk about it more. Okay.
Yeah, we can jump to the deck. Yeah, so this is the deck I ended up going with. It does have 3 Phoenix Flames. The equipment I have is the Stilettos, the Sash, Helios Miter, and the Quelling. What do they call it? Quelling Arms, I think. Quelling Sleeves, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. So you can see the balance of cards is kind of where I was at. So about 5 blues, about 4 yellows to back that up. You have your Dune Breaker, a couple Brother in Arms there. Critical Strike just as a 3 block. Billing Mirage also okay. And then like the red package is kind of where I was at. So dragon wise, you have double Vincerikai, Yenderai, Thamai, and Uvia. The early picks were the Uvia, Vincerikai.
Yeah, I was like 2, 3, 4 or something, right?
I think the Yenderai came like right after also, because I think I passed the Yenderai for a Senpai, but I picked up one Yenderai early.
Mm-hmm.
So the key is like this deck's real good into Icelander, right? Because you have Thamai, you have Uvia, and you have Rake the Embers, and you have Stilettos. This deck shouldn't be losing to Icelander very often, if you play correctly and you don't like just slam your dragons into their blue that just kills them. Make them targeted on their turn, or make them do something, and then if they kill one, you can still attack with the other ones if they decide to like do it on your turn, right? because you still get your action point back. So the other reds we have, so double rake, red billowing, red sweeping, so decent enough ash generation. So you do have some ash generation, and you also have the brother in arms to help ash generation on the defense,
Right.
which is kind of nice. You do have, of course, Helios and the quelling
sleeves.
Yep. And then you have the one red Ember Maw. Obviously, I would have liked more. Didn't happen. One skittering scans is all I say with that. Skittering sands. Yep, just as like a 0/4, just buffs a dragon. So it makes a dragon, buffs it, attacks. Pretty good. And then you have on the left your other reds. So you have Burn Away
Frightmare
and Trade In. Yeah, Burn Away and Trade In are mainly there because I'm running 3 Phoenix Flames. I don't want to run 3 Phoenix Flames. I just happen to be because I need playables. As you can see, like the end of my pack 1, 2, 3 were just full of Icelander cards. There weren't that many things I could actually use there. So, and Stoke the Flames also kind of there because of the Phoenix Flames. There were a couple games. There was one game where I was able to like Phoenix Flame, banish, and essentially burn away. I was also able to pitch it towards Brother in Arms, so it essentially functioned as a 2-block anyways, which was kind of nice.
Right.
Again, also arshonaling as my go again source, my red go again source for the dragons.
For dragons. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the critical strike was okay. The sift ended up kind of screwing me. Not on purpose, like the idea was there. It just happened to grab the 2 worst cards it could have.
Okay.
Frightmare actually, like, I kept pitching it to Arcane Barrier, so I was pretty happy with that.
Is it even possible to get off? What does it cost again? Like, 5?
Well, the issue is not the cost. The issue is the requirement that you have to have something popped already to play it. So you would have had to stilettos. So I would need a bunch of blues for this. So I'd have to like play something Dunebreaker. They pop the Dunebreaker or something like that, or Ember Moss Centipede. That's also okay because you still get an action point regardless. And then pay for Frightmare for 13.
Oh right, it costs 3. Okay, yeah. So you could technically get it off if you had popped something.
But the stilettos cost 3 also. So
2 blue hand, to play something Frightmare.
That you'd have to get 2 blue Frightmare and like your Dunebreaker probably comes from the arsenal or something like that, right?
It's funny.
Super hard to come off. But if it goes off, 13, you probably win the game. You probably win the game. And then the finals fighting spirit was real good. It was the 1 popper. I had the Dromai mirror round 1, and it won the game single-handedly. So I got my popper late, and my opponent got their popper early. So they were able to like pop one of my cards early and stop my turn, which is it happens.
Yep.
And I was able to kind of weather the storm a little bit. So I blocked, kind of traded tempo a little bit. I knew I was getting close to the end of my first cycle, so Final Spirit had to be in my next hand or a bit, and it came up. And so it came up, I blocked something. I forgot what I blocked. I popped it, and then that just led me to just win off tempo. So that was my game 1, won against the Dromai mirror. There were 4 Dromais in this pot.
Oh no. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised with 3. I was a little bit surprised at 4. I did see. I think only like 2 or 3 of us had like legitimate Dromai decks. I think Oliver was trolling a little bit, but he just really wanted to play Dromai for some reason. But
can't account for people trolling.
He had, I think he had baubles. So like there were, when you have that many non-Fi decks, baubles are probably coming in, just because of lack of playables, right?
Yeah.
So I think round 2 was against Fi. There were only 2 Fis in the pod. 5s.
It's a little rare to see less Fis.
There were 3 Fis.
Okay.
There was 4 Dromai, 3 Fis, and 1 Icelander.
One Icelander.
So I was right. Yeah, I was right. Icelander was definitely like the open lane. I thought there might have been 2 possibly, but then I saw the stuff coming back on the second, and I was like, Red Ice Vein and stuff like that. There's definitely
You got stuff from both sides. Packs 1, Packs 2, and Pack 3 had all really good Icelander stuff.
Yeah, and so I think that was definitely a key metric there. So I played the Fi. It was going pretty well. The Vincerikai did like stupendous work. So Vincerikai making them block with 3 2-blocks, or it's like 3 2-blocks or something
taking
like that.
damage.
Real good.
Yeah.
It essentially stopped a turn, right? Because a lot of those blocking cards might be like 0 for 3 go against, or like take 3 arcane if you take any damage, right? So it's quite good. It led the game being very close. It was 1-1, I believe. Like it ended 1-1. I did end up losing the game. I just I sifted So what happens after the Vincerikai? I had a card. I played something. I sifted to try to do a little bit more damage to force more cards at hand, and I sifted into a blue and a Sigil of Protection.
Oh no.
So I got the Sigil of Protection, and I got a red. Oh, it was a red Skittering Scans, and I had no Ash because I used it for Vincerikai. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to play the Skittering Scans, so I had to pitch it for a Sigil of Protection, which was fine. But that really kind of lost me that tempo, and in that point, I had a lot of it. Like I was probably the worst two cards I probably could have grabbed from the deck, but it happens, right? Third game, I was against the only Icelander. They were 1-1. I think they beat one Dromai, and then they lost to the Phi, the other Phi. So there were, I think the 205s were going at it, and I think that Icelander game was interesting. I think I was able to just do my game plan there. So I had the Mai really early. It was quite annoying. I think it took 2 turns for him to get to kill it essentially, which is like good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think eventually the Uvia came out later in the game, which was kind of a bit of a death sentence here. I got 1 rake early also. Having double rake is really, really nice. And I was able to pitch a rake for later, just in case they were able to like singe it away. So I think it was just according to game plan. And I had stilettos too, so really not much to say about that one.
Yeah. The Icelander game plan was pretty solid.
Yeah, you had Uvia, you had Thamai, you had Arcane Berry, you had Rakes. Like it was hard. It would be hard to lose that game, even to the one Icelander player. I had the nuts into Icelander, and if I didn't have the nuts, I would be quite worried. Yeah. So with that, I ended up 2-1. Funnily enough, there was another 2-1 Dromai. The guy I played first round, his only loss was to me. His deck was actually quite good. Demos, the Greek god himself here.
Friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel, of course. He was my round 1 opponent, but he ended up 2-1ing, only losing to me in the first round. And his deck was actually good. Like he was on the opposite side to me, so he was directly diagonally from me. So he had the Son of Pies, he had all that shit like that. He had those, which makes sense. And whereas the other 2 Dromai decks, I don't think were as good as mine and Demos's. So we ended up going 2-1 on Spark of Genius Mats, which was kind of nice. And that was the draft. So kind of a bit of a lesson in like
just knowing when to pivot.
Knowing when to pivot, but also like if it is legitimate enough to pivot, you really do have to look at the strength of the cards. That's why you want to try to stay open-ish, picking up like a popper if you can early, or a piece of equipment like a Dracon, like a Sacha Sandakai would be nice. So it kind of helps you stay a little bit more open, if you can. And with that kind of counting how many of what is in the pack to your right, so your pick 2, your pick 3, counting what people are probably taking. It's harder when they're picking up the rares and the equipment. You just don't know.
Right.
But trying to figure out, the guy to my right or whoever to my right is taking a Phi common, most likely, or a Phi or Dromai common, because based on this, it's like, well, there's a bunch of Icelander cards. There's 2 bad Draconic cards. It's pretty easy to see early on if they are picking those kinds of stuff, and then making your decision based on that. But with that, appreciate everyone for watching. If you do like the content, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And with that, from wherever you're watching in the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Bye for now.